Welcome back to the KDLT Sports Blog. I'm weekend sports anchor Zach Borg. This is our sports director and of Calling All Sports, Mark Ovenden. We took a little break. We've got a new home. We're on our KDLT Sports YouTube page. So, Mark, that means that more people can easily watch us, and if we make a mistake, more people can also easily see us.
Well, that's exciting.
It's called going viral, I guess. But anyway, we took a little break, but we're back, and the sports scene is quickly heating up as we're in the spring season. It's starting to wind down, but what a spring year it's been for Augustana's baseball and softball team. They had big weekends. We'll start with the softball team because that's one of the more incredible things we've seen so far this year. They won their region tournament. Central Region was in Winona. 3 one-run wins, all 3 games. The last game they come back from 7 runs down in the 6th inning to the host team, Winona State. They win 9-8 on a walk-off from Jordan Schaefer. I spoke to Greta Melstead, the head coach, right when they got back. She said of all the tournaments they've been to, never seen one quite like that one.
Well, to be down to your last 6 outs, down 8-1, the fact that they were being dominated to that point, they didn't give up, which is that's the thing that impresses me the most. Augie's both baseball and softball teams just have incredible offenses, top to bottom. They can beat you with, their 3, 4, 5 hitters, of course, but they can beat you with their 7, 8, 9 hitters too. And when you've got a team like that that can just keep grinding away at you, you don't give up, because baseball and softball are that's why I'm such a big baseball fan, is there's no time limit. You got to get those last 6 outs. And Winona State couldn't get the last 6 outs without giving up 8 runs. And Jordan Schaefer, to do what she did, hit that 3-run homer with 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning. And then Carly Pickett gets, I believe she leads the nation in saves.
Might be, yeah.
Comes in and finishes the game off. And Winona had 2 runners on base when she got the last out. So they're going to take a lot of momentum into these super regionals at Bowdoin Field as they host Southeastern Oklahoma, a team that they lost to, their season ended to last year. So it's a little bit of a chance for some revenge for many of the players that were on that same team.
They say in baseball and softball, momentum is the next day's starting pitcher. And in this case, what impressed me about the weekend was they were coming off a pretty deflating NSIC tournament. Now, they didn't have to win to get to the Central Region, but they lost those 2 games at home, basically at home in Sioux Falls to Winona State. They only scored 1 run in 2 games. You got to go to Winona. It was the identical situation on Sunday. They just got to win once, so they could have played a second game. But Greta says that the team, sometimes it sounds cliched, they just take it 1 game at a time. This team seems to be that way because they got over that disappointment pretty quick.
Well, they were preparing all week long to try and play, assuming they were going to play Winona again, had they been successful to get to that championship part of it. And so I think they were ready. But to come back from an 8-1 deficit, and again, they hadn't scored any runs against Winona the weekend before. They had only 1 run through 5 innings. It just wasn't looking good. It wasn't like it was a 14-6 game that they rallied from. It was an 8-1 game. So
she said just about everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and that I think they gave up 5 runs in the first inning. But
right, they were in a huge hole right away. But again, Jordy Schaefer comes through with a 3-run homer, and they didn't win on a bunch of home runs like they had done the week before in the NSIC tournament, where they had 7 in 1 game, which is just crazy. A couple of them, Janelle Troutman hit one that took a bounce and was out of the parking lot, which is crazy. But with the bats that they've got, my concern for them is I just don't know if they've got the pitching to take them all the way to the World Series. But, they've got such tremendous offensive weapons. And Janelle Troutman, when she's on, is a great pitcher. When she's off, she's not a I mean, it's not like she's not a great pitcher, but she's had her moments where she hasn't been as good, and you just hope that doesn't happen in these games.
Maybe the one thing that'll equalize it, too, being at Bowdoin Field, is you do have the taller fences. I think the ones at Sherman and then the ones in Winona are about half that. So maybe some of these balls that we're leaving don't get out in Augie's field.
Maybe. But the fences that they had set up at Sherman, they were shorter, but they were still almost the same distance.
Yeah, a lot of those were clearing it. That's a good point. Well, Game 1 of the Super Regional is on Friday at noon. It's a best of 3. Game 2 is also on Saturday at noon. If necessary, Game 3 would follow at 2:30. Augustana, they're used to being in region tournaments. Augustana baseball is back in a region tournament after they won the NSIC tournament. Touched on a little bit their offense, although they did win with some pitching too. They won that last game 4-3, and it was mostly small ball. But the middle of that lineup between Vigor, Jack Royal, and Alex Fink, good luck pitching to that.
Those three guys have made our highlight reels an awful lot this spring. And Tony, of course, was named NSIC Player of the Year. He was a National Player of the Week, hit 600 that week with 3 homers and 12 RBIs. Just had a tremendous senior season. And the thing about these guys, both Goyle and Vigor, made the point that we're not done yet. I don't care that we're the 6th seed, and I'm speaking from their point of view. I don't care that we're the 6th seed and we're playing the number 1 seed, the Wonder Boys.
Arkansas Tech.
What a great nickname, the Wonder Boys. But they're not fazed by the fact they're playing the host team, the number 1 seed. They want this thing to continue. They want to get all the way to the World Series, and I think they'll be disappointed if they don't.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys were freshmen. The seniors were freshmen on the team that last made the regional in 2011, and they made a good point, too. When you go through the NSIC tournament the way they did, that's a very similar setup to what you see, so I don't think the experience factor is going to be much of a big deal here. They're going to go down there, like you said, be aggressive.
Well, and Arkansas Tech had won 22 straight at home, I believe, but they didn't even win their conference tournament last weekend. They lost 2 games in that and were eliminated. So it's not like they come in on a high. They don't come in on a high, and Augie does, having gone undefeated in the NSIC tournament.
Certainly hope the Arkansas Tech girls teams are named the Wonder Boys. Well, that'll do it for the blog. We got a busy couple of weeks coming up. Obviously, we'll react next week to whatever happens with Augustana softball and baseball. The Summit League
Storm, by the way, continue to roll. They're still undefeated with that win over Cedar Rapids last Saturday night, 48-36. And you know, I'm not sure how good they are, but they just keep winning. I'm not saying they're not good, because they've whomped on some people. But this was a big win for their confidence moving ahead. And I think that maybe might answer some questions about how good they are, that they beat Cedar Rapids on their home turf.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids was the 2nd best team in the league. They came in at 8-1. There's a bit of a rival. Yeah, a bit of a rivalry too, because they met 3 times a year ago. Sioux Falls got killed in Cedar Rapids. They came back, beat them twice here, and ended their season in the playoffs. So very important win. They're going to play Bemidji this Saturday night at 7 o'clock. So hopefully see them get to 10-0.
And before we sign off, how about Kim Kaufman? How about Kim Kaufman from Clark? She's one of my favorites. I admit I have favorite athletes that come along, and I just, from the time she was little and she was breaking 70 when she was in 8th grade, I just knew she was going to be something special. I sensed that she was going to be something special. She's a wonderful girl regardless, so she's special that way. But as a golfer, I think what makes this even cooler is the fact that she came so close to getting her card last year on the Symetra Tour. The disappointment of falling from 7th place down to 11th or 12th, and only the top 10 get it in the last couple of tournaments. Just missing her qualifying card, her tour card on the qualifying school, the Q school, and then, you know, having to go back out there all over again on the Symetra Tour and winning a tournament right away on the Symetra Tour. It was like, all right, we're going to do this. She gets to play in Hawaii, makes the cut, makes some money, goes to Texas, and finishes 4th and wins enough money on that last birdie putt to get her on the LPGA Tour for the rest of the year. She doesn't have to mess with the Symetra Tour anymore. And if she finishes in the top 80 money list, she'll get her card for next year.
And frankly, too, I mean, if not for the woman who ended up winning it, having I think a 6 or a 7 under round, she was in contention that entire tournament, like 2 strokes, and then the last round somebody had an incredible round and pulled away. But yeah, that was very impressive.
Stacey Lewis shot lights out. Yeah. But the thing that was key was Kim, by making that birdie putt on the last hole, broke a huge log jam at -7. She moved up to a tie for 4th place at -8, and as a result, she won $61,000. Had she not made that putt, it would have been around 30. Yeah. It was a very, very expensive putt.
We use the term money, and that literally applied there.
It wasn't just the money. It was the money that put her far enough up on the list that got her on the tour. So that putt got her on the LPGA Tour for the rest of the year.
and we'll be hopefully talking about her even more as the summer progresses. I think they'll probably have another event coming up this week, and we will be following that anytime they're good enough to show the highlights on TV. That was the other fun part, too, is we're actually getting to see her for the first time, as most of the Symetra Tour stuff is not, unfortunately, on TV for us. But we'll be back next week. We got a lot more coming up and a lot still happening for Mark Ovenden. I'm Zach Borg. We'll see you later.